How's my water? Hi.
Hi, how you doing?
We need to have a discussion.
Oh, yes, yes.
Well, not we. I mean, we need to have a discussion.
There are a lot of, I still have a ton of jobs in-house. I mean, probably just under 100 jobs are still here in-house.
But he's sticking away at them. You see him putting the videos up and stuff.
I'm pushing away at the videos, and people have been waiting, and they've been very patient to get their stuff. But we've been having an increasingly serious issue where, for whatever reason, guys just aren't finishing.
They're not paying.
I send the bill, and a lot of times I never hear from anybody.
And I can't believe that we're having to talk about this in a video again.
If you have a watch here and your circumstances have changed, or things are going to be tough for you, I'm calling and I'm texting you and saying, or messaging you, talking, hey, this is your job. We're on top of your job. I'm going to start your job. You need to let me know if this is not a good time. If you need more time, I'll push it back to the end of the line for you. No problem. If it doesn't work at all for you, just ask. I'll mail your job back to you. It's totally not a problem. I have more than enough work to keep me running at this point well into 2020. So don't put yourself in a situation where you're going to get an invoice from me for your completed watch and you're not going to be able to, and you can't do anything about it. I have people, they've just abandoned their watches.
Yeah, like they'll talk to him and then they'll just stop talking to him when they get the invoice.
Yeah, it's like, which is, I mean, I've started out the conversation with explanation of my base rates and how much things cost, and we go through all this stuff, and the numbers should not be a shock. So if it's not going to work for you, you've got to tell me, hey man, this isn't going to work for me. I can't do this. Or speak to me in some way, because if you just walk away, if you just leave it be, I mean, I've been holding on to these watches, but it can't be that way anymore. I can't.
They'll end up getting sold because they are ours now, unless you come and pay.
Right, and you've got to pay by a certain point. I can't just hold this stuff forever, and I've been a pushover, and I've just been putting these watches in storage. It can't be the case anymore. If we can't get the payments ready to go, if it doesn't work for you, if you can't get it handled, after waiting for a year, presumably, financially ready to go, I'm going to have to sell the stuff. I've got more than a month and a half worth of work that's unpaid. So it can't.
And you have to pay.
This is our business. This is our life. So there's absolutely no judgment whatsoever. Life happens. Weird things happen. If you can't handle it, if situations have changed, if something funky is going on, you gotta let me know. Because if you just leave the watch and you just go silent, after a while, you just, there's a specific 30 days from the day that we invoice you. And if you can't make that, then the watch is considered abandoned and it's going to go up for sale on the website. And, I don't like to do it, but what else can I do?
Because we kind of need to make money. I personally think that he should take a deposit before, because this keeps happening, but he won't do that.
Well, no, actually, what I'm considering doing is actually sending out, before I do a job, sending out an estimate, which requires 50% payment. So if you want me to go ahead, you have to put that deposit down, and then we have to go from there.
I think, because this is ridiculous. This has been going on for a really long time, and I really think that should
It used to be the exception. It used to almost never happen, but it's been happening more and more and more, to the point that I have an entire shelf of jobs that are unpaid. And so something's going on. I don't know what's going on, but let's figure it out, okay?
Okay.
There was something else I was going to talk about. I'm damned if I remember what. Oh, somebody on the website, not to be all serious, somebody on the website yelled at one of our regular commenters with some ridiculous political stuff from their extreme perspective.
What extreme? What are you talking about?
Somebody was talking about, freaking out the libs.
What was the first person talking about?
She was just talking about Brexit.
Oh.
And this person was like,
goddamn liberals.
Goddamn, driving the liberals great. They're doing it. I removed that comment immediately. If you, and that person is muted forever. He will never make another comment on my channel ever again. Not because of the political bent, but because this is a politics-free zone. We're just hanging out. We're just talking watches. I'm not concerned about that other stuff. It's no place for this. Govern yourself.
Ooh, we're yelling at people today.
Yeah, sorry about that. I really am sorry about that. But you know, there's a time and a place to yell at strangers
You can
about
go
their
do
political
that. You
stuff.
can go do that on Facebook. That's
Or-
what it's there for.
Yeah.
We all have our political opinions. It doesn't matter.
This is a safe space, a non-political safe space. No politics, only cats.
Yes, she's asleep.
She is asleep.
I feel like we should talk about something funny after that giant yelling at people
I don't want to yell at people. I just want everybody to get along
and to pay their bills.
and to pay their bills. But you know, I just, you know, what are you going to do? I just want people to get along.
That's not going to happen because people can't control themselves. Because it's really easy to be behind a screen and to basically be anonymous, and you don't have to have any consequences.
In all of this stuff, we all have to remember that there is an actual living person on the other side of that screen, and that you know, you just need to. Kindness isn't expensive, and manners don't cost anything. You just need to be nice to each other and need to consider what other people are going through. So, I'm considering all kinds of stuff. That said, I apologize for starting out your Friday video, our Friday video, with a thump.
Sorry.
And those thumbs. He's playing with the dog.
Yeah, it's literal thumbs. The dog peed on the carpet, the brand new carpet. Our longtime viewers might remember that we got a brand new carpet, and he slept with Willow last night, and she didn't understand what whining was, and Sadie didn't close the gate last night, even though she claims that she did, but she didn't. And he peed on the carpet, and I'm not happy.
So I spent my morning in my underwear running a shop vac downstairs in the basement, and that was awesome. It's a good time.
I helped with a toothbrush. What?
Shop vac in my underwear. Okay, well let's go.
Okay. From Jayco, why are y'all wearing flannel and long shirts? Because it's cold.
It's cold. It snowed yesterday.
Yep.
It was 19 degrees this morning.
Yep. That was easy to answer. From Aram Krikorian. Thanks. Great idea on the chrono wheel.
Oh yeah, he's talking about. I showed the method for constructing a test rig for looking at how the chronographs go. It's not my idea. That's from the Seiko service manual.
So the Seiko servicing guide specifies to basically use parts of the watch as a tester itself. But what I did is I just built 2 testing rigs for testing the A and the B wheels, because they are of course different. So this is your B tester, and that's not going to be much good for us right now. So we use the A tester, and what this is it's a train bridge. It's a train bridge and a chronograph bridge with the springs and the operating levers in place. So you can basically, you turn this thing upside down and put that there. And this goes in here. Make sure that's seated where it is supposed to be. I'm kind of doing this by feel because I'm a little far away from it. I need to look at it briefly. No, that's correct. So you have it there. Let's go like this. Let's get a little closer. So you have your wheel. Gosh darn it. Normally I'm able to be right on top of this, so that's no fun. Then your lever should be able to work. So there it is, right? So let's get a nice camel hair brush. I don't think I was in flat on that one. Let me try it again. Yeah, I wasn't. Hang on. Okay, so now I had to be right on top of that. Let's see then. So that, the operating levers are in. Is that thing flat? Aha, see? That's what you want to test. Operating levers are in, and the center wheel section of this turns smoothly, as it should. See that? Nice and smooth. We see that that separates. So then we bop it again. We look at it. We can, and it does not move. We can do something as lame as just hold it literally with thumb and forefinger. Don't mind the dirt on my fingers. I'm cleaning a dirty watch. And we can see the entire assembly turns. There you go. It's a good chronograph wheel. That's how it's done.
And that's what they tell you to do, and it works.
From Walter Alvarado. Spencer, you offering to replace a genuine bezel insert with an aftermarket insert is like Michelangelo offering to paint graffiti on the Sistine Chapel.
In this particular case, it's because the customer was not happy with the degree of wear, and also with that particular watch.
Sorry. He's pushing the step stool after the dog.
The thing is the watch came out really, really, really well, considering how rough it was when we started. Honey, we've got to do something. Sorry, folks. I'm not pushing it. But though, actually, what I was going to say, so this watch was pretty rough. A lot of water damage and it bad loom, but it actually came out really well. And actually, looking at it in the fresh light of day, that's a pretty nice looking watch, even with the worn bezel insert.
You just keep talking.
The issue is the customer had expressed a lot of, I don't know, he was not okay with the level of wear. He wanted to find a way to make it better. But these inserts, they're very, very tough. They're anodized aluminum, and they're really durable. But he wanted one that had less wear. The problem is these bezel inserts, I mean, they were exhausted forever ago. You can't find them, and the watches themselves are rare. And so I don't have anything else. Replacements are not available. So if the customer was really not okay with this level of wear, and it's their watch, it's their call, then we have to find alternatives. And what are the only alternatives that we have are the new reproductions. And the new reproductions, actually, color-wise, texture-wise, font-wise, they're perfect. I mean, they're great. Like, they did a really nice job. The only issue is that they're not really quite as hardcore durable as the Seiko originals. But, you know, if Seiko's not making them, if somebody's going to have a reproduction, an aftermarket reproduction that is as good as the original was, then why not use it? I mean, that MGB out there, the grill is destroyed. The guy had to destroy the grill to get the hood open. MG as a company basically no longer exists. There's no way to get new grills for that thing, period. Even me getting a new grill from Moss, it's made by another company called Golden something. So, you know, it is what it is. And so I'm not going to sit there and say, well, I have to keep my original grill. It's got a big hole through the middle of it. So I'm going to put aftermarket in it because originals don't exist. And that's the way we do it. That actually looks really good, I think. Mm-hmm. So I redid this. I reloomed it completely. I replaced the chronograph hands were totally faded to like custard yellow. So he had me put on new old stock orange hands. But the case, that's the original finish on the case. And that's the original thing. This is his father's watch. Mm. So it's another one of these father's watch situations. That's a nice piece.
We never did wrist check.
Oh, well, you know, let me put this right over here where I know where it is. What? Why don't you show the nice people?
I'm really shaky.
She's wearing 6105 8009. Some of you may actually remember this watch because the loom was destroyed. So I did a reloom on this. It came out a little more vintagey than I would have liked, but she seems to like it. So the loom is a little grayed out, but it looks stock. So, and it glows a little bit at night. It can be red. I love the blue insert. Isn't that neat? My birth year and month watch. And we left the service crown on it. And me, we have a watch on the website for sale. It's 6139 6010. And there were a couple things about it I didn't like about how it was done. And it's still for sale, but I don't know. I just started fiddling and looking through my stuff, and I changed some stuff. And I was like, hey, that's not bad looking now. I replaced the tacky ring with new old stock. I put a genuine Seiko flat Type 1 in it, And I also I found, I didn't know I had it, a new old stock bezel. So it looks a lot better. It looks really good actually. And it's original lumen everything.
Shouldn't you take new pictures then?
Yeah, no, I did this last night.
I know.
Well, no, I just wasn't thinking, and you know me, I follow my nose, and the next thing you know, there's parts flying everywhere. I just hadn't gotten that far, and I was like, hey, this is pretty good looking, so I actually put a strap on it. I was going to wear it, and I've always wanted to like these watches. I never end up wearing them, but you know, we'll see. I mean, it looks great now. I mean, that weird faded bluish cast on the original tacky ring was, I don't know, kind of funky, and now it looks nice. And the flat type 1 crystal in this is cool, and no one makes anything like it. It's a very specific look. I don't like how they look on the Pogue cases, but on this one it's nice because it makes the dial look bigger.
What's that?
Thinking about pizza.
What about it?
Tonight's the night.
I know. Oh God, it's the same brand. I got Tillamook. I got their cheese, and I went to make mac and cheese, and their cheese was moldy.
And she'd already made the mac and cheese.
So I had to throw it away.
I threw it away.
You threw it away. So, but that's what cheese we have for the pizza. I hope it's not moldy. What? Willow put a handprint on the wall, and then
A long time ago, I was playing with some paints because I was doing some other kinds of restorations, and Willow, who was so bad at the time, found these paints, and they were an incredibly
they're model paint.
an incredibly durable kind of paint, like really durable, like they cure and they cure hard. And she got paint all over the old carpets. She got paint all over the walls. She put handprints all over the walls. Okay, fine. Finally, we replace all the carpets. I repaint the wall and make it look all nice. But for fun, because it's kind of charming, I leave one of the handprints, and it's just been sitting there. I just look over. Willow's been coloring it in.
She's our little artist. Okay. From Ross Duggan. Your 2 pieces from your great Uncle Dick are beautiful watches. The Explorer is the watch. I hate the term, but it's my grail watch. The Omega with that damaged dial looks like it could tell stories. That patina.
Yeah, it could tell the story of my great Uncle Dick going into his swimming pool, flooding the watch, and then putting the wet watch into his sock drawer, and it would shortly be joined by his Explorer, to which he would do the same thing.
Yeah, but didn't one of them have blood in it?
Yeah, no, that one did. That one had.
Which one?
The Omega had blood on it, and the upper left lug is actually bent in. I don't know what he did, but he was sort of a gentleman farmer. He married an heiress, and he kind of didn't really need to do anything, but he was a country boy. He was not any kind of fancy person at all. I think during World War II, he was in the Coast Guard stationed in Greenland. He actually helped with finding that lost patrol of P-38s. Those guys, P-38s and B-17s, he helped another one of our cousins, Norman Vaughn, go out there with a dog sled to get those guys. But after the war, I think he sold office supplies in Boston.
He worked in Filene's. I remember.
He worked in Filene's.
I remember reading your granddad's journal thing.
Oh, okay. So great Uncle Dick worked in Filene's, but then he met and married an heiress, and he spent the rest of his life in his nice house on top of a hill and
having 8 kids.
And I don't know, he just lived his life. But yeah, they're beautiful watches, and I love the Explorer. It really bothers me when I think about it that I didn't find some way to save the original Explorer dial. I mean, I have it, but I don't know what I could have done to save it. Because it was a gilt. It was a gilt OCC dial, which is early and it's rare. But the water had just sat inside, and all of the varnish on the surface was just peeling up like this, and there was just radium dust everywhere inside the watch, and it was like, I don't know, what?
I don't need you glowing.
Oh, that reminds me, I got in a handset, a whole bunch of things from a watchmaker's estate, but the person included a ton of like from the Schwarzschild Parts Company. All these replacement hands for early Swiss watches, they're all radium. So I have them in a plastic bag, and I'm going to mark them as danger radium.
Okay.
Don't eat them on your salad.
You're silly. From David Wu. When it's time to install the hands on what?
On a 61 on this watch.
Oh. Shouldn't the lower subdial hand be installed first? Then, when the hour hand is installed, you can check the stack clearance. It appears you installed the subdial hand after.
Yes, I did. And he is correct. The way you're supposed to do it is you're supposed to go with the lowest hands first. You're building upwards. It's like making a house. You go with the lowest hands and you build them up and you're checking your hand clearance all the time. I can kind of shortcut that stuff because there's a very specific way that these hands are set. The hour and the minute hands, the hour hand sits even to the top of the hour wheel. The minute hand sits even to the top of the cannon pinion. That's where they are. And if they're flat to the dial and they've got their hand clearances, you're fine. Ditto for the minute counter hand. It's got an inset. It's lower already. And I look at it and I know how high it's supposed to be. I'm like, is that high enough? And I just know. So I go back and forth. Sometimes I do it one way, sometimes another. The one thing I hesitate with these things is because the way these hands work, the chronograph hands, especially the subdial hand, is they work, they're technically one-use hands. Those tubes grip the pinion and you push it down and the thing sort of wedges open. And so if you take it off and put it on a bunch of times, eventually that tube gets too big and it just flops around and you can't get it to stick. So I always kind of want to make this one of the last things that I do after I've checked everything to make sure that it's behaving. I probably don't have to do that, but that's just kind of what's going on with that. So yes, you're correct, but here we are.
From Alan Mayer. I wish you could see my standing ovation. This is excellent. I have a 6139B that I'm trying to service myself. I took it apart, cleaned it in an ultrasonic cleaner, and put it back together, sir. However, when I throw it on the time grapher, I get a starry sky appearance. I'm thinking of taking it apart, cleaning it again, and maybe re-oiling it. Would you be able to do a detailed video on how to oil this or provide any insight into what I might be doing incorrectly? Thanks so much.
Your number one, rather than have me make an instructional video, your number one thing you should do is you should start going all over eBay and looking for the Seiko technical guide. Get a Seiko servicing manual. They cover a ton of different models. It's a big 3-ring binder, blue binder. And get that one, look at the 6139 because it has troubleshooting. And if you follow the process step by step, it also has a color illustration that shows you how to oil. It does. There's a few things that I do differently, but I think the easiest thing to do would be to get one of those manuals, you read through it like the good book that it is, really get an understanding, and then follow those instructions step by step.
Where am I? Oh, okay. Andrew Warner. Hi guys, question for this week's video. I've got a Seiko 6119 8250 I bought to take apart and play around with, but I can't get the case back off. It looks like it's got a snap-in type back, but my knife won't shift it, so now I'm wondering if the movement should come out from the front. Any help would be appreciated. I don't want to cause damage to the watch. Cheers.
Get yourself some wooden toothpicks, the round wood ones, the solid wood ones, and very carefully.
Not the pokey ones.
Not the pokey ones. Yeah, get the round white wood ones. They're nice. I use them literally every day. And go around where the case back is. Go around the edge where it meets the case. Clean that carefully. You can actually use an X-Acto and shave that to a point, and you're going to find a spot. I think on the bottom, underneath the bottom text, with like a little fingernail gap, okay? And you're gonna find that is where it goes. And make sure your case knife has a nice sharp, clean edge, and just hold it carefully, cleanly, and it'll pop right off. They're not front loaders.
Mountain Standard Time. My blood pressure drops watching your repair videos.
You know, I've done an admirable job fooling people into thinking that I'm a Bob Ross kind of person.
Why?
I don't know. Am I really a nice, calm, genial person?
Yes.
I don't know. I have a theory. My theory is that in marriages, there's always a good one and a mean one. And I don't know which one I am.
I think you're the good one because I was going to really lay into people in the beginning. I'm mean. I'm the mean one.
But isn't that true? Isn't it? Whenever think of your neighbors and people you've known, you have them. You have the husband and the wife. One of them is the nice one. One of them is not the nice one.
My parents aren't nice.
Oh, your mom's nice. I mean, she's got her own thing going on. But from what you tell me about your father, he's insane.
Yeah. I don't want to be the mean one.
You don't have to be the mean one. I'm the mean one.
No, you're not.
I'll be the mean one. From now on, I will be the mean one.
I'm the mean one.
You're not the
terrible.
mean one. No, I am.
I yell at middle school kids do crap. I don't know. Like one time, there was a kid. They kept throwing apples in our backyard. And I kept being like, where the F are these apples coming from? And one time I was driving and I was going to cross the street to get to our driveway. And I see some little shithead throw a freaking apple in the backyard. And I went speeding and pulled and turned in front of them and I yelled at them, stop throwing apples in my goddamn yard. See, I'm the mean one.
I don't know. Who knows?
Oh, well.
Honey, I'm, we complement each other's strengths and weaknesses.
Yes. From Marcos Vasquez. What an incredible restoration. The movement and case looked great after all the cleaning, and that relume dial has tons of character.
Yeah, it really does. For all the weird speckles and things on it, I'm really happy with the color of the loom, because that's the pip there, the original pip up top, that's original loom, and the dial is new loom, but you see they match in color, and it's just it's a really nice watch. The power of cleaning. But thank you.
From J Tofu. What up? I have the exact one from my father where he used to go diving in it, putting in a new battery this week, so I hope it still runs fine. Do you know if the SKX 007 strap code Jubilee bracelet will fit?
It should, yes. He's talking about a 7548 7000F slim case diver. Yes, it should fit just fine.
I need to...
Here, give me that. John the Computer Doctor. Question. Just bought a Seiko SKX 007 with the A movement. Is there anything I should be aware of prior to me servicing it? You're going to be amazed at the numbers when you're done servicing that watch. Those A movements, best of the best. That was the pinnacle. It's a standard movement. They're nice because, especially in terms of the balance, they're old school because they have a stud and a screw and like a really standard balance and hairspring, and they're effortless. They're just a servicing, but the numbers you're going to get out of that thing when you finish servicing it are going to be exquisite. High and fast in the 270s and the 280s, and you'll be able to dial that thing into flat accuracy, and it will be so accurate. There's such great movements. I really am happy with how this came out. Look at that. I know I keep showing it, but I'm like, it's just so satisfying to bring back a watch like this. And it's so nice looking. It's original case finish. The more I look at it, the more I like it, and I like the insert actually. The more I look at this, it's just, I like it. I think it's good.
I had to turn on the TV.
Adam Krikorian, I know you've mentioned this, but what is the probable solution to the chrono wheel stopping when the finger contacts the intermediate minute counter wheel? Weak mainspring or something else? And how do you test the functionality of the chrono wheel? Didn't we already do that one? Mm-hmm. No. We had a similar question. Functionality of the chrono wheel, remember, is that tester a guy built. And that wasn't my idea. That came from the Seiko Service Manual. Mentioning the Seiko Service Manual, also that is something to get your hands on because there is a troubleshooting tree on what that thing is doing, and it has color illustrations, stuff you need to check for. I don't know. It's just if that thing's not working, then either it's adjusted incorrectly, the intermediate wheel's in the wrong place, the little spring finger is holding the minute counter wheel in the wrong place. It's not lubricated correctly. The ports, the bushings for the minute counter wheel on the bottom can really get worked over time, and that hole can oval out. Seriously though, get one of the old original Seiko servicing guides and read through it. It'll tell you pretty much everything you need to know.
Sorry, I spaced out.
No, that's okay. I'm thirsty.
Oh, okay.
What are you doing?
I don't know. You left. It's your questions.
You can answer a question. Why don't you answer a question?
Philip Fitchu.
Hello.
Hi, Spencer and Sabrina. Spencer, have you seen the Panda reissue reference SRQ029? Man, what a nice piece of kit. As someone who was once in the market for an 8020, I would certainly buy one if I had the $4,000 to do so. When I saw the article, I had to come and ask you what you think.
Seiko came out with, this is, everybody's chatting about this. Seiko just came out with, I'll insert a picture here. Seiko just, if you want to, you could look up that thing. Seiko came out with two, and they're not reissues. They're more. Is it homage? Homage? Somebody tell me how to pronounce that. So they harken back to these earlier designs. One is the 5717 one-button chrono, and the other one is the 6138 8020 Panda. But they are they're using Seiko's new mechanical chronograph movement, which is a standard. It's a standard modern descendant of the 7000 series movements with a chronograph module on the front. That's it. There you go. Can you get me that picture bigger?
But you just inserted a picture.
Well, that's fine. I can also just chop that out. Yeah, I'll put in pictures of that stuff. So that is okay. So there's the reissue of the Panda, and here is the reissue of the one-button chronograph. Now, it's again, these things, they're not pure reissues. They took the styling cues. So it's like this one button. It's like the dial color is correct with the Dauphine hands and the old style loom and the thin black rotating ring, and that they're good looking watches. Limited edition. $4,000.
That's too much money.
And they're using the same system where you take a basic three-hand watch movement and you put a module on the top of it. That's what the Omega Speedmaster Reduced is, and they just put a module on the front. I wish they weren't $4,000. I have to tell you, the one that's the reissue of the one-button chronograph, that dial, I'd be real interested in seeing one of those. But I'm not going
buying you one for Christmas.
I'm not buying. My days of buying $4,000 watches is over. But they are cool. Sorry. Okay, onward and upward.
What's your problem?
I don't have a problem. Pizza.
Oh, I don't want to read that one.
Okay, then don't.
Okay. From Randy Novick. Always nice to see you guys on Friday. As it turns out, I have Smith's watch, a manual line gold case with a lovely azure dial. Keeps good time, but has to be wound in the morning and before bedtime to stay running. Probably needs a service. I wear it to the office sometimes, a few times a year. Anywho, I have a question about the lesser-loved Seikos of the 60s and 70s. Are there any? It seems like almost everything they did back then is fast becoming desirable. In your view, what are the least loved, yet also underappreciated of the oldie Seikos you've seen on the bench? Many thanks and happy wrenching. The ones with the disco ball crystals.
They are wacky.
I haven't seen one in years.
They are wacky. Yeah, there were a whole bunch that Seiko came out in the early 70s, and they were almost always like shades of like gold and brown.
What's their number?
Oh God, there's a bunch of them. Basically, the short answer to answer your question is dress watches. The one watch right now that I am blown away that they're so cheap, I just don't understand it, are the early King Seikos. The early automatic King Seikos. They're like $300 for a high beat Grammar of Design dress watch. I mean, it's bananas that they are so insanely affordable, and there's such a great movement. They can be they can be dialed into chronograph accuracy. They're fantastic watches. $300. People are paying God, for the new Grand Seikos, they're paying $5,000 to $8,000 to $10,000. Granted, this is older technology, but they're amazing watches. But if ever you're bored talking about the old Seiko stuff, just go on and pick a year, let's say 1969, and go to and Google Seiko Catalog 1969, and you'll come up with sites that have PDFs, scans of Seiko's catalogs of their offerings for 1969, and you can see all the watches that are on there and see if something tickles your fancy. But dress watches, a lot of dress watches that people are just ignoring. Quartz dive watches, there were a lot of 7546 dive watches, like sport divers from the 80s that are cool, that almost no one thinks about. They're neat. But look up those catalogs.
You never answered my question. What number is the disco balls?
Oh, well, there's so many.
Well, can you say one so people aren't like,
Well, the only one I can remember is I owned a 6106. I used to call it the Frog Pond because the dial was like this weird greeny, goldy, mucky color. Mm-hmm. And I got a crystal from Jonathan, a new old stock faceted crystal.
Was it the disco one?
Uh-huh.
God, they're so ugly.
I never wore the watch.
I know.
I sold it 10 years ago. And it's probably not worth any more now than when I sold it.
From Shelf Compact, haha, had no idea you were a Moz fan. Just saw him a couple of weeks ago standing just a few feet away. He has a love-hate relationship with Morrissey.
The last time I saw Morrissey, this was 25 years ago, and I was there, and he was up on stage at the Warfield in San Francisco, and he was on stage being sort of louche, hanging out up there, and he looks at somebody had all these young boys had all these signs up and they're waving them at him, and he looks at one and he points and he says, "That's misspelled."
Well,
yeah, no, it's not so much I'm a Morrissey fan, but I was an unbelievably huge Smiths fan back in the day. In fact, I have a gigantic Queen is Dead poster that I bought from the record store back in the day. It's actually apparently quite rare, but it's in terrible condition because it was in every dorm room and apartment I had in my 20s and teens. But yeah, good old Morrissey. I'm glad I got a chance to tell that story. That's misspelled. It was what a magical moment in Morrissey land. I also won a Morrissey singing contest.
Please don't do it.
I'm not going to.
Thank you.
But I did win the contest. I was the best imitator of Morrissey's singing style.
He's not going to do it, so don't ask. From Rick Rivera. Sorry.
Has the Perrier gone straight to my head?
That's the whole reason why I didn't buy any today. Was because you said that.
Why?
Because.
Oh well, go on.
Thanks for replying to my comments again. Sorry it was so long. I'm just really excited about my new old SKX173. I actually got a time grapher. You're right, the amplitude is kind of low. You're not taking any new work yet, are you? No.
I'm so buried, and it's not like I'm not doing the work. It takes a lot of time to do this stuff, and I'm a pushover, and I said yes to everything, and I'm buried. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and people don't pay. From Lane Edwards. Ooh. Hey guys, one question and an update. First, thanks Spencer for the advice on my 6309 729A crown issue. The replacement crown fixed my screw down problem and I was able to finish the mod on my Franken Turtle. I'll send you a pic via email.
Okay.
My question for this mail call is I just found a Seiko 7A38 7240 at a pawn shop for $18.
Wow.
And after a battery change, all seemed well. However, I could not reset the chronograph hands with the pushers. I had to remove the movement and do it manually with a tool on the movement buttons. So what gives are the pushers bad? They feel great and have a click feel when you press them, but they must not be moving inward far enough. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts?
You already diagnosed it. So what you're going to find is you've got to replace the seals. You got to clean those buttons. And what I bet you're going to find is you're going to pull those buttons. You're going to get that little C-clip off the inside. Do that inside a Ziploc bag, like a baggie, because those little C-clips go and they're gone. You'll never see them again. You use a couple really super fine screwdrivers, and you on either side of that C-clip, you snap that off, get the button out, and you're going to find that underneath that button, probably the case well where that button goes in is going to be stuffed with grot, and it's preventing the button from dropping in all the way. So that's what I would do. But you're also, if you're going to go that far, might as well rebuild the entire case, pull all the buttons, get rid of all the old junky seals, put everything through the basic clock ultrasonic for case parts and things, and clean it all off with a parts dryer, make sure there's no water left in it, reassemble it with new seals, and away you go.
Sorry. Nothing. I was just reading a question. Where was I? Mihai Pascu. Question for next mail call. How to clean polished indices on dials that are only a bit of clouding, blurring, dirt buildup. Not really corrosion, but whatever it is on them seems a bit sticky. It doesn't clean easy with only light rubbing with a fine fiber cloth. Thanks.
There are tricks. The thing with tricks is they can backfire on you. So, yes, there's ways to do it. I know exactly what you're talking about. You can use Brasso, but not in... Brasso is an abrasive, so you have to be very careful. You're using the liquid, the chemical reaction of the Brasso, not the abrasiveness of it. And you get one of those round toothpicks, you shave it down to a super fine point, you get on really major magnification, and what you're doing is you're just putting a tiny, 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 tiny little stripe of this Brasso, just the liquid, on top of the stuff, on top of the indices, the marker, without it touching anything else, and you let it sit there for, I don't know, 10, 15 seconds, 20 seconds, something like that. And then you using like a Q-tip or something, without rubbing, no rubbing, you very carefully, you kind of blot the stuff back up, you get it off. And then once you've done that, you get your Rotocoat, and again, you're just trying to pull the material off. And once you have the abrasive stuff off of there, you can then clean a little more vigorously with the Rotocoat, and that will, a lot of times, it'll pull that hazing off. It's not entirely successful, but it certainly helps.
I thought that was one of your secrets.
The only reason I've really ever called it a secret really is because I'm terrified that people are going to learn the hard way what I also learned the hard way, which is Brasso can do some terrible, terrible things to dial printing. They'll strip it right off, especially if there's water damage to the dial. You got to be real. Brasso is one of those tools of last resort, and you have to really know what you're doing, because boy, you can jack up your dial like that, and there's no coming back. So
you're nice. No, you're nice for telling people. See, you are the nice one.
Who's nice?
You.
Nobody's nice. My cat's nice.
No.
She's asleep.
Yeah.
This is as nice as she gets.
Okay, that's a car thing. You put it in the wrong spot. There's 2 parts to this one, but one is a car part. So.
Well, actually, Jose F. Gonzalez, the first part of it's fine for you to write us big novels, and I'm interested in your stories. That's fine. I do read them. Time is a factor, though, so we are going to go, we're going to answer your watch-related.
I'll go back to it.
You go back to what?
This.
Oh, the car-related one?
I'll go, when I get to the car stuff. I was just saying.
I get you.
That half of it's a car thing, and I'll go back to it later.
Okay, so...
There, see, I guess I am the nice one. Mm-hmm. From Jose F. Gonzalez. You casually mentioned the Seiko 5 Actis line being a JDM line on another mail call. I have a 6106-8410T. Do you know what does the SS on the dial stand for?
Second setting. It's referring to hacking. Because the 6106s, when they came out in 1968, they were second setting. They had a hacking lever, which was atypical for the time. That was kind of like an extra added coolness.
Okay, so now I go to... Okay. From Adrian Hargreaves. Love your show and always watch it on Saturday morning. Those Submariners are great. You'll have to make me one.
You buy the parts, and if I ever have the time to do it, I'll build you one.
My question is, which aftermarket lightweight bracelets do you recommend for the tunas? Uh-oh.
Absolutely no idea. All tunas I ever do deal with, I wear them either on the original correct rubber strap or I put them on leather, because they're already big enough as it is without adding extra weight. I know a lot of people like the shark mesh straps. Those are pretty nice. I never really care for them myself, but that's the way it goes.
There's the cat.
She woke up.
Yep. Hang on. Okay, from Kenneth Stauffer. I like the smaller, thinner one better.
Talking about the new Orny.
Also, could somebody comment on the embedded LCD display? Something tells me the new Arnie has an LCD display tucked deeper into the watch and catches more shadows.
Yes, it does. Absolutely. Everything on that watch, Seiko's thing with the reissue seems to make things taller. And so, yeah, that LCD panel is definitely more recessed. Absolutely.
Oh, ow.
What?
I'm only wearing leggings.
Oh, you are?
She's pointy. From, I don't know how to pronounce your last name at all. I'm so sorry.
Where?
I don't know.
Ing.
Ing? Okay.
Yeah.
From Ethan Ing. Sir, the actual Bruce Lee's watch reference is 6139-6010 Speed Timer 5 Sports with the 2 parts chronograph hands.
Great information. Thank you. And that's not a surprise. It's good to know that model would have been available there. The very first Speed Timer I ever owned was one of those, and it had a Chinese English day wheel. So that's really good to know. So I'm going to change this watch, which is on the website, is not a Bruce Lee. It's kind of a Bruce Lee, but it really isn't. So I'll change that. But that's good to know. Thank you for that information.
Ow, this cat is going to stab me to death.
But she's so happy.
I know. From R. James. Ow!
Actually, I don't have an answer for that. So, R. James, I don't know the answer to that question.
Then
Well,
why
you
should
can
I-
read it, I guess.
Maybe somebody else will know. Howdy gang, question for Spencer. Is there any interchangeability between the movements of A827, A828, and A829? I have an A829 that, ow! I need to source a donor movement for and was curious about my options as all 3 variants come around for sale. Ow! I'm gonna die!
Are you?
Ow!
I don't know the answer to that. What I'd have to do is I'd have to look at parts exchange guides and to see whether, parts like the circuits or the main plates and stuff like that would swap back and forth. But I don't have an answer for you yet. It's possible, but I don't have an answer for you yet. I may be able to get an answer, but maybe not. If somebody knows the answer to that question, please let me know. Crickles.
Okay, now we're on to car stuff.
Oh, okay. So, folks, if you are bored of hearing about the MG, my stupid MGB GT, the orange car, then we're done talking about watches for right now. We're going to be talking about MGB stuff. I'm not quite sure I'm going to handle MGB questions from here on out. Maybe I'll start answering them in like a separate Q&A segment or something, if people want to keep talking about it. But I have a feeling it'll die down pretty soon.
Okay.
Well, because I can't order any of the crap that I need because we have other things that are more important than restoring a 1969 MG in the garage. So, I guess I'll probably start making more videos when this current storm passes, but not now. Not now. So anyway, nothing but MG questions from here on out.
Okay, let me go back to...
Jose F. Gonzalez.
Well, there was one before him.
Oh.
You accidentally put it in the wrong place.
Uh-oh.
From CMB, a great watch to go with the MG would be a Smith's W10 issued between 1967 to 1970 to British military. They are a classic design and high quality. I'm sure that Sabrina will steal the MG from you once it's up and running. Then you can get the Mustang project.
Oh, boy. And now she inadvertently taught Sebastian what about Mustangs. And so, because he has one of my old toys from one of my old Matchbox cars from when I was a baby boy, and it's a fastback Mustang, and she was like, oh yeah, that's. He showed her the car, and she said that's a Mustang. So he's been demanding to look at Mustangs in the morning, not just cars, but Mustangs, and so. That combined with the fact that she says that she gets swoony for Mustangs, we're gonna have to get one.
Okay, now to Jose F. Gonzalez. Hi, Spencer and Sabrina. It's wonderful that you and your kids get to share the process of restoring the MG. Those memories will be forever. My dad worked on and off for the better part of 30 years on a VW Type 3 notchback. It was his pride and joy, even though it never quite ran very good, and it had all of the 6-volt car and a 12-volt road problems. I also worked on that car from time to time. We had to sell it when my dad died. Nobody in the family had time, space, and or money to keep it, but I have fond memories from my dad in the car. In a way, cars have always been a gateway drug into anything mechanical. Cars, guitars, watches, woodworking, doing it yourself in general. I am guilty on all counts. That and the firm belief that, hey, I can do that and probably better. Hey, that sounds like you. That's the rabbit hole. On the other hand, my girlfriend has this family story. Her dad used to buy old used cars and work on them. One time, one of those cars stalled with the whole family inside, so my brother-in-law had to push the car. Finally, they got it on a slop and jump-started it in second gear, or slope, as we call it in Mexico. The car started. Everybody got back in, and my father-in-law said to the young boy, well, I hope you learned something from this. And the kid said, yeah, never buy old cars. The kicker is that he is a mechanical engineer.
Yeah, that's fun stuff. I love the notchback. My dad bought we lived in, well, not we, I wasn't alive at the time, but in the early 60s, Dad was working on one of his many degrees in Germany. And when they were done with that and they were coming back to the U.S., he bought a brand new VW Bug right off the lot in 1962. And he got it with that when he went to the dingo. They gave him a toy. They gave actually my older brother, who was a Sebastian Jeans at the time, they gave him a tiny toy notchback. I've always loved them. Those notchbacks are so cool. I'd love to own one, but you just don't see that stuff around anymore. It's just too bad.
From Lester Loves Watches. In the UK, this car would save you about £150 on road tax, about £200 on insurance, and about £3,000 on ultra-low emissions zone, from which classic cars are exempt.
Wow. Here, also, in Colorado, pre-75, there's no emissions on it, which is good, because some genius, the original owner, hang on.
Why are you getting closer?
Because we're too far away from frame. The original owner decided that he didn't like having the batteries where they're supposed to be, which is two 6-volt batteries, connected together underneath the rear seat, if you want to call it that. So we had the battery, a 112-volt battery, put up in under the hood. So he had to move a bunch of stuff to make room for that thing. One of the things that he removed to make room for the battery was all the smog stuff. So like all of that stuff.
Can you put it back in?
I don't think I have to, but yes, I could. But it would be it would add. I found most of the parts. Like that guy who was selling stuff on Facebook Marketplace. He had the air manifold that bolts into the thing. Whoever this guy was, he just took the 4 tubes, because what it does is it goes and it pulls, the pump runs and it pulls air out of the crankcase and then routes it back through the carburetor, so you're burning off this stuff so you have lower emissions. But he just clearly he took a set of clippers and just clipped the tubes and then just crimped them shut. So that guy, $50 Marketplace, one of the things he has is that air manifold that I need to get, but he stopped talking to me because I think he felt bad about his car. Whatever.
I did that one. From Saul Brook.
Hi, Saul.
Surprised your buddy never converted the 356 to 12 volt.
Talking about Eric Cox's 356 Porsche.
Best car I ever owned for a one-person push start was a 1994 Festiva.
I wanted to say I wanted to give a shout out to Eric. He does web design at WiseApe. WiseApe.com is his thing, and if you look him up, you'll get some stuff. But I've known Eric since we were 5. Hey, what'd you bite me for?
She don't like where you're petting her.
Ooh, she's got bad breath.
Yes. weighed nothing and the door opening was huge, so me getting it moving and jumping in to pop the clutch was pretty easy. Worse was my 1988 Volkswagen Foxwagen.
You had a Fox?
Heavier and smaller door opening, but its problem was that in the right humidity temperature it wouldn't turn over, not good living in Florida. But the starter was fine. All I had to do in that weather was make... Sorry, it didn't print.
All I had to do was... all I had to make sure I parked with a few feet of clearance in front and I could pop the clutch while sitting in the car. My old RX-7 had these issues. My buddy had an RX-7 had these issues. He would just put his foot out the door and roll the car backwards and pop it into gear in reverse. Good times. You know, people don't have to worry about that stuff. Push starting a car. I mentioned that I pop started Eric's car, and Sabrina said, "You what?"
I didn't know what... He was at the door. I was talking to him about something that was more pressing. A lot more pressing. And he's just like...
Been a long time since I push started a car. And that's what I did.
From Chris Beckler. Spencer loved the channel, but Seiko versus MG. My grandfather always said the British build a car for one reason, to work on them. Seikos are pretty well built. Check out old Toyota rebuilds.
Oh yeah,
4x4.
Old Toyota 4x4 rebuilds. Man, those old Toyotas, they have a great reputation for working on them. I don't know, this MG, it looks pretty simple. Honestly, it really does. I'm used to more complicated things. I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, this is that, and that's this, and this is where this thing goes, and we'll see where it goes, man. We'll see what happens.
From Lee Sherwood, is this going to be the new Musty One channel?
I had to look that up. Musty One, I looked at his channel, and he does this thing where I got a, right now he's got a 3-part video series. Somebody gave him a Porsche 911 that had been in a flood, just gave it to him. Like the car...
Sounds like people giving you watches.
Yeah, but I think the car was like underwater or something, but he had a 3-video series of basically taking this free Porsche and getting it running. And part 3, it's like him and his buddy driving down the road in this Porsche. I'm like, why don't people give me a 911?
Because you don't work on cars.
People
probably say the same thing about you randomly getting watches.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You know, it's just like, just like the character of the cook in the movie Ratatouille, talking about cooks. He said, for people who love food, food will always come to them. So you don't have to be greedy about food. I love watches, and if you love watches and you focus on them, watches will come to you.
Okay. From Pete Messenger, how did it start with the cut coil wire?
I connected all the wires up again. The nice thing is MGB's English cars have tracer harnesses, so you look for the right 2 colors and see what that guy cut, and then I soldered in new connections, and the next thing you know, vroom. I have to go back and I have all this stuff that's waiting in shopping carts online for that car, and it's not really expensive. It really is crazy not expensive for this stuff. But I'm going to replace all the fuel lines, and I've got to rebuild the carbs and stuff. But because the carbs, they're gunked up with old gas, so that was running on just a touch of starter fluid.
From Nacho Valenti, very nice car, Spencer, and I hope the restoration work will be fine. Congrats.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it. It feels like it's never going to happen because all the parts that we need to buy it's not important right now, and we have other things we need to do. So it's just sitting in the garage, and I feel badly, but when the time comes, then we'll get it going, and it will be fun.
From Stephen UK1, my father had an MGB GT. Sorry, my mouth stopped working.
Sorry.
Just like this, but I think of it later as it had an additional oil cooler radiator.
Mine has that.
And a more modern steering wheel plus a sunroof. I remember thinking was cool, and also an overdrive button on the gear stick, which I think was a 5th gear. Anyway, so cool to see this, and I'm so interested to see how you get on. Can I ask, are you for restoring it to use it on the road? How will you fix up the corrosion on the floor pan and feet wells? And where will you search for the spare parts? Best of luck.
Spare parts are not a problem. Every Every part on that thing is available. It's bananas. Literally, there isn't a part available there isn't a part that you would need that you can't find. Like you go to Moss Motors, and they have like 3 different pages just of piston sets. So you pull your engine and you mic up your sleeves and you say, oh, okay, well I need 400ths over, and you go to Moss and you order a set of pistons, get them in and slap them in. Parts are not going to be a problem at all. I'm going to do money and time is an issue. Not time. Money is an issue. I don't know that I want to spend an additional $1,000 to deal with the floors right now. So what I will probably do, there are these really, through the magic of chemistry, there are a number of kits that you can get that it's a fine metal weave mesh, and you can put it over where it's supposed to go, and then it has almost like a JB Weld kind of epoxy that'll seal it up, and then you use basically like bed liner underneath it to seal the bottoms, because the structure's fine. Like the metal, the floorboards are fine. They're totally solid. They just have these little holes, mouse holes through it. So I think for now I'm going to do the half-assed repair and then put the new carpets in, because carpets are not expensive. Every kind of carpet set in the world is available, and they're cheap. It's crazy. People pay more for a brand new Marine Master 300 strap from Seiko than I'll pay for a complete carpet set for that car, which is bananas. But yeah, it's going to be road worthy. I want to be able to. I want to get it running, get it so it'll stop, and get it so all the lights and things work. And then we want to drive around with it and have fun. And eventually, it's going to get repainted, and we'll go from there.
From Daniel C. Hi Spencer, you got lucky with the rust on this car. Here in the UK, if that car was left out in the weather, it wouldn't have lasted for 30 years. It would have disintegrated and been swept up off the floor decades ago. You won't regret doing this car. They have a charm all of their own.
Mm-hmm.
Great fun to drive even at the modest speeds they do. I was lucky enough to take a ride in a very rare MG BGTV8 owned by a friend of mine's dad. That car was totally different animal, but it goes to show the classics can truly handle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been told that the Rover V8, which is I believe a Buick V8, will drop right in. Not that I'm going to do that, but I'm no speed demon, and I like the charm of the little 4-banger. Again, I grew up with MGs, so I think it'll be fun, and we'll just tool around and, well, I don't know, drive around, go look at stuff.
Can't fit all the kids in it.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
No driving in Poudre Canyon or I'll throw up.
Yeah, no kidding. On the subject of rust, I remember once I saw one of my favorite cars of it was a 59 or a 60 Thunderbird, and it was in a junkyard on Cape Cod. And it was amazing. Those cars are solid unibody construction, and the car had rust so badly, the wheels throwing up water on the front had rusted lines straight through the tops of the fenders. It was amazing. I've never seen anything like it before.
I'm so sorry. I'm so bored.
Are you?
Yes.
I can do the rest.
No, it's my job. I don't want you thinking I don't like doing videos. It's just cars are really boring.
But you're going to, if it was a Mustang, you'd be excited.
I guess. I don't understand cars. Every time you talk about it to me, I have to say it in my head. Pay attention, listen, because I just space out.
It's not your thing. That's cool.
I know.
You tell me about knitting, and I'm like,
no, I don't.
Sure you do sometimes. I can do the rest if you want to go off and do something.
I'm also worried about Sebastian.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. So you want to say goodbye?
Goodbye.
So if you were watching this video only for Sabrina, she's done.
I'm done.
Okay. You know what's crazy, though? That's the last question.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, this is the last question.
I was up here.
Were you?
Yeah.
Oh. Ross Dugan, my son Harley's about 28 months old, was instantly drawn to the video when your son was checking the car out. My son Harley is ate up with tractors and anything that moves. I'm the guy that commented previously about being a heavy equipment mechanic in a large mine. Sebastian asks all the time to go out and look at the orange car. Loves it. TX Razor, Texas Razor. Spencer, several years back when my kids were the same age as yours, I restored several British cars, Triumph, Spitfire, Triumph TR6. Those are cool. MG Midget. Now, there's one for sale of those on Facebook Marketplace here, and it's a nice looking car. But I knew somebody who had a Midget, and I didn't like them. So I thought about it, but no. First thing I did was to replace the Stromberg carbs with Webers. For whatever reason, I can't get the Stroms to run well here in Texas. Yeah, the SU carburetors, it's going to be real fun to figure out. I haven't messed around with carburetors for a really long time, but we'll see what happens. I'm getting full rebuild kits with all the needles and everything, and I'll clean them up as best I can, and we'll see what happens. It's a little frightening that the guide for servicing and tuning these SU carbs is basically as thick. It's only slightly thinner than the Haynes manual for doing the entire car. Randy Allen, great start, Spencer. I'm surprised that with all the bare wires, you got it to run that easily. I look forward to seeing your progress. I've been watching a channel called Heidi and Franny's Garage by a couple girls down in Littleton or Morrison or somewhere who are doing a deep refresh on an air-cooled 911. They're pulling the engine and just taking off the ancillaries now, and it's a real contrast to British simplicity. I have some history with 60s British bikes. Good luck. That's a cool channel. I will look that up, and I'll have Sabrina look at that too. Todd Chuck. Oh, wow, it runs. I can't believe it. You must live in a reasonably arid area. Yeah, no, it's near desert here. The only reason anything green grows at all is lichen has to grow on something. But yeah, I can't believe it sat, no BS, it sat without moving in that spot for the better part for over 3 decades. You saw it. I'd look at replacing the floor pans completely. Yeah, I know they make whole ones. I mean, it's a matter of that investment. Yeah, it's the right thing to do. To go through and have the pans cut out. It's apparently a good body shop can do it in a few days if they get nothing ahead of it. But I don't know. I'm not thinking about it right now because we've got other irons in the fire. Nicholas Miller, congratulations on buying your MG BGT. The Leyland A series is fun to work on. The British motor industry always ran on the if it ain't broke principle, so we're slow to upgrade their models. But many enthusiasts own and restore these cars in the UK still, and most parts are still available, including remanufactured body shells. The Buick V8 from the Rover P5/6 goes straight in. Also, I believe the Leyland O series, which some say is pretty versatile, but the main problem is, of course, rust. It always pays to have a secondary switchable cooling fan, or these are prone to overheating in traffic. I'm sure you'll have a great time restoring it with your son. I look forward to seeing your updates. Really enjoying the Friday mail call vlogs, too. Thanks for them great content. You're welcome. I have, in my online shopping carts, I have a bunch of stuff like a non-standard aftermarket shroud to really direct air into the fan as it is. Having a secondary switchable fan is a good idea. That's a good idea. I'm not quite sure how that would be done, but that is a good idea. Yeah, every part is available. There's some company in England I saw that is taking these and they're basically remanufacturing the entire car, all with modern everything. They put a Japanese 4-cylinder engine into it and all modern roading gear, and they completely remanufacture the bodies, and it's got all modern electronics, and they're sweet looking. But the reason that they work for me is that the design of the car itself is so great. I love the MGB. Every time I go in the garage and I look at it, I'm like, I walk out there to get something and I see it sitting there, and I'm like, I just love the balance of it. I love the balance of the design, the smoothness of it, the lines of the fenders, and the way the taillights coming out of the back, and the sort of the fastback look of it, and the way the headlights. It's a masterpiece of industrial design. I love the way it looks. And I'm really excited about getting it done. I'm really excited about driving it. And there's so much to do, which is wonderful. It's great. There's all this wonderful stuff to clean. Like, it's so satisfying. Ripping out the old carpets and all the crap in there was just, the car instantly felt better. And, doing all this work is just a lot of fun. And then you get to bring this lovely old neglected machine back to life. I'm really looking forward to it. I really, really am. So I'm going to continue making MG videos, and as we have time. But we're coming into winter, so I don't know that we're going to see a lot of that right now. But I have 3 different websites that have shopping carts of mine in it with a lot of stuff. But I'm really looking forward to getting it in. It's going to be fun. For a long time, Sabrina was telling me I needed another hobby that wasn't watches, and I have to agree. And so I'm looking forward to doing this. It's going to be fun, and I'll get to drive it around. I mean, I grew up obviously on scooters, Vespas, when I was in my teens and 20s, but I'm not going to go on two wheels ever again. So, but this is the next closest thing. Anyway, so it's going to be fun. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm sorry for we bored Sabrina, but you know, it is what it is. Thank you so much for all your questions. You guys have a good weekend, and that's about it. Okay, we'll see you.